Welcome to this session of the Global Peace Conference. My name is Rafał Pankowski. I am a member of the Never Again Association and co-founder of the Music Against Racism campaign in Poland. We are going to talk about music today. I think mostly rock music, but probably not exclusively. In the social context, in the context of society, in the context of anti-racism, anti-discrimination, human rights, respect for diversity. And I think we actually managed to put together a very diverse group of interesting speakers, a diverse group in terms of geography, in terms of background, in terms of generations, music styles. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to have a very diverse group in terms of gender. So we don't have a female panelist, although believe me, we tried very hard. But we got a very nice message of support from one famous artist, Yoko Ono. We got some words of support from the Russian group Pussy Riot, who were also interested but couldn't join us. But still, we have a very interesting group of panelists, as I said. And let me just introduce each of them briefly, and then we can go directly into the discussion. Our first speaker, our keynote speaker, will be Chris Salewicz, who is based in the UK. He's a famous and renowned music journalist and author of books, author of, for example, biographies of Bob Marley, Joe Strummer, Jimmy Page, and many other interesting writings. Then we also have with us Kyaw Kyaw, who is the founder and the leader of Rebel Riot, that is a contemporary punk band from Myanmar. Some of you may have watched the documentary My Buddha is Punk, and you may also know him from that film. And in the aftermath of the recent military coup in Myanmar, Rebel Riot has played an additionally important role, and we will talk about the role of music in inspiring the protests in Myanmar today. We also have with us Julien Poulson, who is a co-founder of Cambodian Space Project, a Cambodian rock group which led, I think, not just a revival of the Cambodian rock and roll scene, but generally speaking, Cambodian music scene. I think Julien is in Tasmania right now, but he's definitely well known in Cambodia and all over the world for his role in this story. We also have Riz Faruqi, who was the founder of King Lee Chi, which was one of the very first groups that introduced hardcore punk to China. He is born in Pakistan and based in Hong Kong. He's also the editor of a Hong Kong-based website, Unite Asia, which I think is one of the most exciting websites with news about music such as hardcore, such as punk, such as metal across Asia. So literally from Saudi Arabia to Japan, and I would highly recommend. It has a lot of fascinating information on it. Then we also have Mak Hak, who is the leader of Maksud Odaka, which is a very famous jazz rock band from Bangladesh with a strong message. about the environment and peace and social cohesion. And last but not least, we also have a Polish musician, Paweł Gumola, who is the leader of Moskva, a legendary punk band that started in the early 80s. But it's still going. He has also played reggae and has also played folk. And I think I can say this publicly. It's a special honor for me to participate in a discussion with him, because he's been one of my personal heroes. Growing up in Poland in the 80s, he's one of the people I looked up to. So I'm very grateful that he also accepted the invitation. So before we give the floor to Chris Salewicz, I just wanted to very briefly mention or very briefly describe the Music Against Racism campaign in Poland, of which I was a co-founder. But the campaign was the brainchild of Marcin Kornak, the founder of Never Again Association, who sadly passed away in 2014, and that the campaign started in the mid-1990s in response to a wave of neo-Nazi and racist violence in Poland, and it was one of the ways to react against the problem of right-wing extremism and racism in the region of Central and Eastern Europe, including Poland, the country where the Holocaust had taken place. So it had a special context. And with Marcin, we managed to release a number of compilations that made a lot of created a lot of attention in Poland back in the 90s, with artists from all corners of the music scene, all music styles. In this context, I should also mention the Polish Woodstock Festival, Poland Rock Festival, which takes place every year near the Polish-German border for more than 2 decades now. And it is probably the biggest such festival in Europe, with way over 500,000 people there every year. And the Never Again Association is there every year, and we are very much a part of the festival with the anti-racist message, which I think today is probably more needed and more important than ever, and not just in Poland, but of course all over the world. So I think that's enough about our campaign, Music Against Racism, and the Never Again Association for now. I think now we can start by playing a short video of a band that I think inspired many of us over the years. A good introduction to the talk by Chris Salewicz, because he is the author of a wonderful biography of Joe Strummer, which I have with me here. I'm afraid the technology is not sufficiently advanced, so I cannot get my copy signed by the author over the internet, but Chris Salewicz is one of the witnesses of that period in music that has been inspiring for many people ever since. And I would like to ask Chris to give us his perspective on the legacy of anti-racism activism, but also more broadly peace activism in rock music, such as the Woodstock Generation, Bob Marley, Rock Against Racism, and is there a contemporary relevance to that kind of activism? And Chris, do you think we need a new Rock Against Racism campaign today? The floor is yours. You need to unmute yourself.
Okay, is that better? Can you hear me now?
Yes, wonderful.
Good. Well, I noticed that one of the subtitles of this event is "Never Again," and that's significant, really, because the whole purpose of what was called initially the common market, and is now the EU, was that there would never again. It was an anti-war movement. That was the initial purpose of it. And now, of course, in Brexit Britain, we're seeing the complete reverse of that. And this country is in dire straits actually. People were conned by what I consider to be the crime of the century in supporting Brexit, because they were lied to. I don't know how much you know about this. They were told they would get £350 million a week for the National Health Service. The people running the whole campaign lied. And I'm thinking that, there's the new Adam Curtis series on TV. I don't know if you've ever seen it, which is sensational. And one of the episodes is titled, "What if the people turned out to be stupid?" And I think we have a big problem with this, because a lot of people seem to have stopped thinking. As Will Self, the English writer, was on a TV program a year or so ago, and he said, not everyone who voted for Brexit was racist, but every racist voted for Brexit. And it's true. And people didn't like, these people with different colored skins. These white people didn't like people with different colored skins in the streets. They hated them much more than I think is almost possible to realize. And I think that the mistake that we all made, and Mick Jones of The Clash and I were talking about this a while ago, is, about 20 years ago, the turn of the century, we thought, oh, it's okay, we've kind of won, everyone gets it, everyone understands it. No, they didn't at all. They were kind of waiting in line to get back, to go on the offensive. And I think all these people, Boris Johnson and co, who's actually a terrible human being, really terrible human being, they were just waiting to manipulate people. And I think this is not just in this country. You can see I know you have problems in Poland with this thinking. France, I know, a friend of mine's mother was saying to her, "Oh, I think we should get out of the EU. I don't think it's doing us any good." Obviously it is, and it's like but everyone seems to be wanting to divide into these little nation states. I think things are in dire straits, really. I think this country, what's happened in this country, it's a classic post-imperial experience. If you look at what happened to Rome, to Athens, to the Habsburg Empire, the Ottoman Empire, these great empires, when they go straight down. And I think that's what's happening to this country. People still have this colossal delusion that Britain is this imperial state. It's not. It's in big trouble. And I think to what extent, everything seems to become incredibly tribalized, and the tribalized nature of this is quite positive in many ways, because you hear all manner of all manner of cultures, all manner of musics. But I live in London. I used to live in the north. People saying, how great the north is. No, that's why I'm not living in the north anymore. I'm living in London. And you see a mixture of people everywhere, a mixture of cultures. It's a great city. But you go outside of London, all the stuff that I and my friends think is so great, that lot out there hate it. They loathe it. And this is I don't quite know what to do about this. This is a great problem, because, as I said, we thought we kind of won this situation, and it wasn't like it's right now. That turns out not to be the case. I mean, there were some positive indications just this week, 2 days ago, or yesterday, really. The results came through. Boris Johnson's party in a by-election were resoundingly defeated in quite a surprising way. They've concentrated on the north, you know, the north is where the England football, I mean, obviously the football is on at the moment, Euros or Euro 2020, 2021, whatever it's called. That the England warm-up games took place in Middlesbrough in the northeast. At those, you know, and I'm sure we're all aware of this taking the knee symbolism at the beginning of matches. The Middlesbrough, the footballers who did that, when the English teams did that, they were booed by the crowd for doing that. That's what they think like up there, and why I don't live there, obviously. But we seem to be in, you know, I'm very concerned about what's going on. I think that there is this move to the far right, and obviously this is all driven by insecurities, by people really kind of not liking themselves very much. And it's that great thing of, you know, as you know, it happened to Jewish people in World War II, it's always good to have someone to blame. It's always good to blame your inadequacies on. And that's kind of where we are really. And where do we go in terms of kind of music raise this? I mean, we talk about the Woodstock generation, and I know you have the Polish Woodstock. The Woodstock generation, which is supposedly peace and love, that came out of a time of colossal strife in the United States. The country was riven in two by the Vietnam War, essentially, and also by, you know, by conservative thinking versus modern liberal thinking. And you know, I mean, Richard Nixon won the 1968 election really by, you know, calling up what he called, you know, the silent majority. And we didn't really like the silent majority. We thought that, you know, the Woodstock generation were the good guys. And it's the same with, you know, punk comes along 6 or 7 years later. And the punky reggae party, which obviously Bob Marley celebrates in his song, which was written you know, written and recorded in 1977, when Bob is living in London after the attempted assassination on him on December the 3rd, 1976 in Kingston. He'd moved to London. It was quite hidden, not too far from where I am now, actually. And Bob was not at first convinced by punk rock. I mean, he was living kind of the epicenter of it, off the King's Road. And the King's Road, of course, was where Malcolm McLaren's shop was, where kind of every weekend there would be parades of people up and in punk clothing. But then Bob did get it. Bob went to see the Clash when they played the White Riot tour in May of '77. He went to see them at the Rainbow, and he got it. And Bob Marley's presence in London at that time was of hugely symbolically important. And that fusion, the fact that, you know, that at, you know, the Roxy Club, Don Letts would play reggae largely because there wasn't much recorded punk at first. It was incredibly important, and it kind of blended those cultures. I mean, it changed my life, certainly, that understanding of it all and how it all fitted together. And also, you know, my own experiences of going to Jamaica, but that was but Jamaica was not a land of peace. Jamaica was riven by, also a bit like America in the late '60s, a more extreme form of civil war. You know, where it was literally, you know, it was literally like a banana republic, where kind of one party was kind of trying to kill the other, you know, because if your party was voted out, you would lose not only your job but your home. It was quite likely. So that period, we seem to come through that, and there seemed to be some understanding that this fusion, this blend of people, you know, of all, you know, with skin color doesn't matter. In the '80s, it just seemed to have kind of calmed down a bit, and as though people had realized what the reality of you know, the scales had fallen from their eyes, I thought. But here we are now, and we're not in really too great a state. And I'm not trying to be, you know, I'm not trying to be negative, but I just think we have to be realistic that the bad guys for now seem to have taken over, and that's all I can say really.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. Can I just ask one quick follow-up question? So, do you think this legacy of Rock Against Racism has not been powerful enough? Has it evaporated over the years?
I hope it hasn't evaporated, but it's also seems to be, isn't this connected with the kind of the culture as well? That in a way, I mean, what has been great about, you know, the last 20 years and people having so much different musics on their computers, etc. It's not led to a that's great, but it's not led to a cohesive situation, you know, where it just means that everyone's so diverse. So yeah, I would say that unfortunately it's slightly fallen, it has certainly fallen slightly by the wayside, but you never know what's around the corner, as Boris Johnson has just discovered with this voting 2 days ago. So, you know, obviously I am optimistic, but I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much, Chris. I think you mentioned many interesting angles, and I think we can now, you know, continue with some more angles. If people have comments or questions to Chris or to any other panelists today, you are very welcome to put them into the chat, and we will try to discuss them, time permitting, in the second half of the discussion. But now I would like to invite everybody to jump to another time and another place, to Burma, Myanmar, a country that has experienced very tough times in recent years. I'm talking about the Rohingya genocide, but I'm also talking about the military coup that happened a few months ago, and the tragic deaths that resulted. Let's play the next video, which is a video from Myanmar, which is a video from Rebel Riot.
for your rights, fight for your life. There's a time for revolution. Ready, fight, fight, fight. 就这样不die, die, die. Can't control and fight, fight, fight. 就这样不die, die, die. Can't control and fight.
Thank you very much. And I think for those of us who are not fully aware of it, I think this video from this year shows that rock music, and in this case punk music, as a form of protest is truly a global phenomenon. So I want to ask this question first to Kyaw, and then to the other panelists. How important is music for your country's rebel generation?
Hello everyone, nice to talk with you. I'm very glad to talk in here. So in Myanmar, music is very important for the rebel generation because we are living under our military for so long. So that's why music is one of the chance to learn something if we didn't learn from the school. So if we talk about music, we also had traditional music before exit alternative music. Traditional music are they singing about the between love, about love between couple or something like that. Also pro resistance, pro nationalism. So alternative music are something different to teach us to make open mind to awareness, humanity, and different viewpoint of society. So anyway, what kind of music doesn't matter. Everybody love music, and music make everyone happy. So I would like to spotlight more about alternative music. Alternative music is very important than traditional music. I know discrimination between two music. Alternative music are, as what I talked before, like the rebellion, separate awareness for humanity, and like a bridge between old rebel generation to new rebel generation. Also communication between the generation, like for the youth culture. That's why in our country, for the rebel generation, the alternative music scene is more important. This music can make awareness for young people. That's why important for rebel generation, I think.
Thank you so much, and we are so glad and so honored to have you with us, and we admire your courage. Julien, in Cambodia, if we talk about generations, a whole generation of musicians were killed. Can you tell us something about it, and what role does music play for Cambodian identity today?
Yeah, look, thanks everybody. Great to be a part of this. I'm not in Cambodia at the moment. I'm in the west coast of Tasmania. But my journey to Cambodia and into the music there was by surprise. One thing that is probably rings loud and clear to me, one part of that journey was at that time traveling from Tasmania, working for a while in a prison for the Truth and Reconciliation Commission in Timor, and taking a short trip to Poland and then back to Cambodia when Timor fell into war again. And each of those places, from Tasmania, Timor, Poland, Cambodia, all share a tragic history of genocide. And in the case of Cambodia, when I arrived there, you know, it suddenly really resonated with me that for some reason, no plan, I was ending up in these environments where the most debased moments in human history had played out. And in Cambodia's case, in a very perverse way, the genocide targeted culture as well. So, you know, the music and the arts and the individualism from the past was actively exterminated. And it's the same here in Tasmania. We have the tragic Black history of a government-sanctioned extermination of the Indigenous Tasmanians. So for me, the moment of getting back into music in Cambodia had a lot to do with the idea of creating something that was connected to the past, but also with the idea of celebrating a future and doing something very exciting, very moving, and because Cambodia's population is also very young, any action is celebrated very quickly. Cambodian Space Project certainly wasn't a punk band, but Channthy, the singer, the front woman, was seen very much as a rebel. But if she was here today to speak, she would say that what she wanted to do was make people happy, to celebrate, to bring people together, all together, you know, across our differences, our diversity, our class. She was somebody who's experienced, born to an army tank driver, born in the conflict zones of Cambodia, experienced the worst of the Cambodian Civil War in the 80s, you know, following Pol Pot, and survived through having a passion and a love for music. So when I met her, Channthy had 3 mobile phones full of songs that were pre-Khmer Rouge genocide. And we started playing that music together, and it very, very quickly became popular and celebrated, and took us to incredible places. In a way where we realized the kind of strength of what we were doing could be useful and effective for all sorts of other actions in society. And it really fueled us to know that we were, and we still are, even without Channthy, that legacy continues at the forefront of a cultural revival. And that proves that in the case of the Khmer Rouge murdering and killing all the artists, you can kill the singer, but you can't kill the song. We came to being at a time where the revival of arts and culture was just really, really exploding in Cambodia, but it was exploding amongst a population and a society who was so young and still are so young. Most people in Cambodia are under 30, that they couldn't remember Pol Pot. History is not taught in schools. They couldn't understand the genocide, just getting on and surviving today and dealing with the current political situation, which is, you know, it's a dictatorship, a one-party state, and there's not much room for freedom of expression. Certainly all the media outlets have been shut down. When Channthy was killed in 2018, a lot of the Cambodian diaspora living in the States and abroad, some people's first reaction was that she may have been a target of the regime. That's not true, but there's still lots of lots of unresolved issues around her life and death. And she, in death, represents so much more in many ways, even than her life. And she was somebody who was just getting going. And that's, you know, musically speaking, yes, she'd recorded 5 albums and gone from the jungles, really, from obscurity to being an international star, and somebody who wanted to be active and involved so much more at grassroots level. So she grew up in Prey Veng province. Prey Veng province is the most bombed place on the planet. There was more tonnage of bombs dropped by the American forces in Prey Veng and along the Vietnamese border than the entire World War II. And her land is one of the poorest parts of Asia. She came out of that and led this incredible rock and roll revival. And through that, a hell of a lot of joy and happiness. And that's something that the rest of us are still working on and hope to get back to in Cambodia post-COVID. So yeah, happy to see everybody here and be part of this. And I don't know what I can say other than that, but I'm glad that we're all here sharing our work together.
Thank you very much indeed, Julien. Well, I think you didn't say it, but in a way you alluded to the motto "Never Again," which is of course very important to our organization. Chris Salevich mentioned it too, and I think what's important to us is to understand that those countries that are seemingly very distant from each other, such as Cambodia, Myanmar, Poland, UK, they, you know, at the end, they have a lot in common, and especially the countries that suffered historically, suffered genocides, suffered conflict. One of those countries is also Bangladesh, and we have with us Mak Haq, and I would like to ask you a similar question: how important music has been for the revival of Bangladesh and Bangladeshi identity after the war, after the genocide in Bangladesh?
Hear me? Hello?
I think now we can hear you. I think now yes. Great.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon from Dhaka, Bangladesh, and really honored to be here in this particular conference. Really looking forward to it. As you all know, I am not only representing Bangladesh, but I'm also representing the Liberation War Museum, which is very fundamental in my existence today, so to speak. I am a witness to the Bangladesh Liberation War, and I was slightly injured also. Not that I was a frontline participant or a guerrilla warrior, but no, I was actually on the receiving end of the genocide. Like many, I've shared, you know, it's good to talk about a genocide, but to be something else, to be a part of it, or to be a frontline witness to it, which I had the, what should I say, the great fortune or misfortune to be a witness to. It was a very traumatic experience in my life because I was just 13 and a half years old, and to see so much happening around me, my neighbor's daughter getting raped, somebody very close to me getting shot in front of my eye in cold blood, and then to see the dead bodies and the human misery that go with it. You know, you see this in movies or you read about this in books and you talk about genocide, but to be a witness and to see it as a trauma that I still live with almost on a day-to-day basis. It is horrifying. And music per se has been very much a part of Bengali liberation struggles through centuries. If you'd look slightly back into history, not too far away, despite all the all the independence movement that happened around to throw the British out of India, the most spectacular and the most significant and the biggest weapon that was fired was through the music of the rebel poet Qazi Nazrul Islam. His lyrics and his words were so strong. He was put into jail, he was tortured, but nonetheless, his word of rebellion is still relevant in today's Bangladesh. His name is uttered almost every other day. I also refer to him on many occasions, and the famous poet, the rebel itself. It's a colossal story of what rebellion is, the spirit of rebellion, how you become, one man can become really a huge weapon in itself. Bangladesh's people, sort of British would say that they're not a martial race, but we proved wrong. We proved them wrong. We are a martial race. When push comes to shove, we have proved our worth to be seriously martial race. We have had the opportunity to throw out over 100,000 oppressing Pakistani troops and make them surrender. A guerrilla army of only less than 500,000 could do it. Now, with the joint forces of the Americans and the Chinese also, who were against our liberation, so to speak. So putting all of that into context, music has been significant, and music has from time to time played a pivotal role in changing the course of social narratives, in changing the course of social discourses. And today I would say with some bit of satisfaction that yes, we in Bangladesh view music as one of the strongest weapons. And perhaps in my analysis, I think that what music can do is much more than any other media of expression. Like, let's say a book. An author may spend hours and hours and hours to get to write a book, which I also do as a writer. And the message in a 500-word book takes a long, long time for people to get into. But the message in a 3 to 5 minute song is so strong. Now, people don't reread a book too many times. If you read a book once, you like it, maybe you read it a second time. But the music, if you like it, if it attracts you, it makes it straight, it goes straight to the brain and leaves an implant there for the rest of your life. That's why music is so very powerful. And it has been for centuries. In our part of the world, whenever all the major movements, like say our struggle for independence started on the 21st February 1952. It was only when the Pakistanis said Bengali cannot be the national language. We have to turn to Urdu. And that's when the revolt started. It was totally unnecessary. It's like telling the Chinese that from tomorrow you're going to be British. It's not possible. We're completely two different culture and two different race. So that started it all, and from there onwards. So in the last 50 years of Bangladesh history, we have done pretty good. But at the same time, since 75 until about 1990, we did have successive sets of military dictators. Many coups, counter-coups, which started with the assassination of our father of the nation, Sheikh Mujibur Rahman, on 15th August 1975. And then onwards, from 75 to 1990, we were under one dictator or the other. These dictators did all they could to drive away all the secular aspirations of our liberation struggle. There was this vast amount of Islamization that went to unnecessary, which was again funded by petrodollars, so to speak, capitalist interests, business interests, mafia interests, you name it, all of that was there. And all these years, we as musicians did what we could. We resisted. We did wonderful songs. We put messages, again, subtle messages of social change demanded. And the successes of bands later, this became, music today is now a huge industry. But on my personal front, I moved out. I had lived the life of a city-bred urban musician for way too long. And in 1996, basically before 1996, say from 80 onwards, 85 onwards, I began connecting with the bowels of Bangladesh, which to be very simply, is the Rastafari version in Bangladesh, the equivalent in Bangladesh, the same philosophy: one God, one love, peace, Jah Rastafari. We say Joy Guru. Other than the fact that we do not like to look at Haile Selassie as the Messiah. We do not believe in the Messiah. So other than that little spiritual difference, it's almost the same. The same spirit of living, the same spirit of values, vegetarianism, love for humanity, love for people, love for culture, all of that put together, and sort of reverence for important spiritual figures. So it's an agnostic cult. So we are, if you call it a cult, would be wrong. We're about 1 million strong, both in the in Bangladesh and West Bengal, and out there, us rock musicians end up with a huge ego. Our egos are higher than the skies. Now that's the arrogance in me I had to defeat, I had to kill. And that's only when I went to the village and started living with those folks down there, when I started to realize that this is life. And the education I've got, and I still continue to get from my guru and the thousands of people who are connected to me. At that level, the music is rock, but it's like roots rock. It's not like head banging and, it's not that kind. It's all cerebral. It's not physical. It's all got to do, our music itself is designed to work as a meditative format in your brain. And with that, the message of peace and the way forward are all there. And some of the messages are 200, 300 years old. For instance, my patron saint, Fakir Lalan Shah, he passed away about almost 200 years back, more than 200 years back. But the message he left behind is still relevant in Bangladesh today. Whenever there's a major political clash or a clash on spirituality in today's Bangladesh, we're overwhelmed by this Islamic inroad everywhere. There's too much of Islamization, unnecessary. So to resist that, what's the best way to do it? I mean, we're a pacifist people. We don't believe in on the language of the weapon. Our weapon is our thoughts. Our weapon is to engage. Our weapon is to engage the enemy in logical debate. No longer how much it takes. We're not there to convert people. We're just there to make sure the mindset goes through a change. The same thing when we confront the current so-called democracy, the situation is just the same. We have to engage them on terms that hits their brain. We point out, we just don't complain. We give suggestions. And so in a way, the rebel generation in Bangladesh is a new generation with all kinds of music, from thrash metal down, and some of them have gone abroad and received international awards, and Bangladeshi bands perform many countries. But overall, the message is peace. That reminds me of what Gil Scott-Heron once said was, peace is not an absence of war. But there's a problem with peace. The peace, you can't make no money out of it. Because only when you go to war can this military industrial complex make money. Only the misery, only the death of people can these people make money. Today in Myanmar, same equation. Somebody's got to make money. When you kill people, you make money. When you save people, you don't make money. There's not much money to be made by promoting peace, as we all know as peace activists. We got to work within our resources, but that's a fundamental duty to mankind that we must, a very few of us maybe, but those few will and can and have made the difference, which I think should be the ultimate message from me here in Bangladesh. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much indeed. I can confirm, I personally experienced some really great music in Bangladesh, and also the diversity of the music scene in Bangladesh is very very impressive. Thank you. Now we go back to Poland, and I would like to ask the same question to Paweł. How important in your view music has been for the rebel generations in Poland?
Oh yeah, hi, thank you for invitation for this conference. It's very nice topic for me, because I think we are rebel generation from many thousand years on this planet. We are rebel generation also now, but in time, sometimes we are more rebel, sometimes we are more peaceful. But I think music is very important for all people, and also words in this music is very important, and message. And I remember when maybe 30 years ago in Poland we have very communist regime. When I go to concert, when I was to concert, some rock group, I don't remember the name, but some Polish rock group. We had in this time censor, you know, and the bands can't singing every lyrics, not every lyrics, not every words, because somebody looking before the concert on the lyrics and can say you can sing this song, but you cannot sing this song. We had also this situation 30 years ago in a very famous festival in Poland, Jarocin. And when it's time like this, very difficult in country, every people are like rebel people. And in one song, it's enough one very good word. The word can have two meaning, you know, and every people understand. When I remember, I hear one song, one band about television. One woman singing about something about television, but this was two meaning, this television. And in this time, every people understand what singer wanna sing really, what message wanna give people. And I think it's very important music and words for people, because we can from of course underground music have really true true news about reality, about life, like you know, every day we can hear in television about bad situation on the earth, and many bad news, and from song we can hear solution for our life, for not only about problem but also about solutions. Especially reggae music is good with this, because they think you know, punk rock is like a warrior, and reggae music is like a messenger. They give solution. They give message about love, about way of life, style of life, good food, and when I speak with my friends, with people, we very often can we speak about songs with good message, and I think this good message in song very unite people, is very important. And I think if we not have rebel music, underground music, alternative music, we can't be together, because this music and these words, this message wake up our souls, our mind, And yeah, it's very important for me, music underground. Also, sometimes in radio, I like listen pop music, normal pop music. I like also because they have also nice music. But I never feel with this music something true. It's only money and only famous feelings like this, you know. And I like this message, Bob Marley, don't worry about the thing, everything's gonna be all right. We need this message, and this is very important for rebel generation, this positive message, positive thinking, and positive state of mind. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And once again, let me say that listening to your music since the 80s, I have learned a lot. And let me thank you for that, and thank you for being with us today. And now we are moving to Hong Kong, and a similar question to Reese. How important is music for the current rebel generation in Hong Kong?
Yeah, so is my microphone on? I don't know if you guys can hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks again for inviting me and listening to everybody's story here about their backgrounds. And it really is quite amazing to hear and so profound to be part of this conversation. But for Hong Kong, we've been going through some historic changes. You guys are all aware of the past couple of years. And so it's interesting to think about how punk rock or anything loud and aggressive and how that may be more helpful in allowing kids, because that's basically who are on the streets fighting, are kids, and how that music, punk, hardcore, metal, could help energize or further power the struggle. But it's really interesting, the kids here don't turn to punk rock or hardcore or metal. It's not the music that really energizes Hong Kong. Actually, it's all about language in Hong Kong. So as long as the music is sung in Cantonese, they don't really care what kind of music it is, as long as it's in Cantonese. And the type of music that really pushes people here in Hong Kong, it's really, it's interesting. It's more like post-rock, indie rock, or even hip hop is really the type of music that pushes and energizes the people of Hong Kong, because it's music that allows everyone to escape the realities of what we're facing here. You know, like I said earlier, there's historic changes that are happening right now as we speak. And as I'm speaking right now, I'm having a mental conversation in my head, telling myself to be careful with what I say, what words I choose to use, what conversations I choose to speak about right now, because I don't want to get myself into trouble. So there's a lot of things going on right now. So I would say that in terms of music, unfortunately for me, I grew up on punk rock and hardcore and metal, and find that kind of music really spoke to me and saved my life in many ways, because I am someone called in what we're considered ethnic minority. I'm Pakistani, but I grew up in a Chinese society. And so a lot of us brown-skinned people in Hong Kong are looked down at. So, you know, us like Pakistanis, Nepalis, Indians, Filipinos, Indonesians, we're all just thrown into this one little boat of just like, oh, they're brown, we don't need to worry about them. They're just gonna do whatever they're gonna do. Oh, they're not even from here. You know, so the amount of times I get asked, I'm like, where are you really from? I'm like, I'm from here, man. I'm from right here in Hong Kong. But in terms of music, it really is. It's looked at as a way of escaping the reality. So like I was saying, like the political realities right now, but not even prior to the political stuff, it's just the day-to-day living in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is such an expensive city. there's so much pressure. There's so much going on top of people who live in like little tiny shoeboxes. And there's like 8 people living inside that little tiny shoebox. And in order to survive, they're just like, oh, I need to put on some music and just go for a walk. And they choose to use music that's not aggressive or like drums pounding in their head. It's more like therapeutic. So a lot of post rock, a lot of indie rock, a lot of music that will bring different parts of Hong Kong together. So like right now, the biggest, like canto pop, for example, even though I can't stand canto pop, but it is very powerful music, and in the way it can bring thousands and thousands and thousands of Hong Kongers together under one roof, and they just start singing, quite easily digestible music in a way to just bring everyone together into this one event where it can kind of provide some sort of therapy. So, I mean, that's really the kind of music that is here. Like Powell was saying, is like music is more of like a uniting force in Hong Kong as a way to kind of just help everybody navigate this really dark time where we don't actually know what is going on. We don't know what we're allowed to say, what we're not allowed to say, what kind of music are we allowed to release. I mean, I have a new band called Regret. We just released our EP last month, and we don't even know if there are certain lyrics in there that are going to end us in trouble or not. So there's just all of this uncertainty, and people just use music as a form of escape.
Well, thank you very much. I think we can really see the parallels between what Paweł Gmola said about Poland in the 80s and what you are telling us about the censorship today, and the challenges and the problems happening in the 21st century and not in the 1980s. I would once again recommend everybody to check out the website Unite Asia. It is really wonderful, and I have to say that I really appreciate all the work you are putting in it. Many of you already spoke about, all of you in fact spoke about your personal experiences. I would maybe wish to follow up by asking how important is music in your own personal journey towards peace. But at the same time, I want to ask each of you to share some thoughts on how you think music can contribute to a better society and a better world for future generations. A world without racism, a world without discrimination. I understand it's easier said than done, but what role can music play? I would like to ask Julien maybe to start with those two questions, if you like. I'm just aware that our time is limited. Sure. We want to use some questions from the chat. So if each of you can compress your answer to 5 minutes, that would be great. I don't know, these are very big questions which are difficult to compress into 5 minutes, but let's try. So Julien, please.
Great. Yeah, well, anybody who knows the story of the Cambodian Space Project will understand that we've ridden some wonderful high highs and some very tragic low times. Of course, the loss of a incredibly enigmatic front person like Kyaw Channthy is huge, but and it's taken a long time for me to even feel like I want to talk about this or participate in any forum. But so much happened, and there was so much goodwill and so much joy and love and enthusiasm through this wonderful, hybridized rock and roll that we created in Cambodia and wherever the group went, actually. And the next step now is using that history and that legacy to build a bricks and mortar community center out in a poor province of Cambodia. We've put the Fish Island Community Arts Center in place in an island called Srey Channthy, which is Fish Island. We opened with we bought the land. The land was a swampy rice paddy. It's surrounded by salt workers and fishing villages. And we launched the site with a thing called Cambodian Women of Song. So it really represented the least empowered in society, but looked at the history of 50 years, 70 years of song, from decolonization through to now, and brought together female singers to launch this site. The next step is building. We've built the building. The next step is installing a music recording studio and a film production house. We've just done that. We shut down at the moment because of COVID, but it's back to the reggae model and rocksteady as a universal language of something that's a very, very easy template musically to use for the current generation, future generations, to create music and media that is all about individualism, expression, youthful hope, and future thinking action, grassroots action from out of community, empowering the most disenfranchised to have a voice of their own, to have access to facilities, a safe place, a nurtured environment, and inspiration from the people that are around them to go forward into the future. So we've built a studio there. It's called the Yellow Submarine. It's really inspired by the Black Ark of Lee Scratch Perry, and the idea that a small facility can produce so much. And in Cambodia, it's all ready to happen. So, yeah, there are many things that I can talk about that are very, very tragic and very negative, and for me, absolutely depressing. But I don't see the world like that. I just see look ahead into the future, and through all the gift that we've been given, all the opportunity, the main thing is to just get on with the story and try to make it a really good one. And that's my belief. So watch out for the Yellow Submarine on Fish Island. Come and visit us. Wonderful people from everywhere. We're working under the radar, of course, but we're looking at creating a little communication center through music and art and reaching out to the world. And that's very much the legacy of Kyaw Channthy and the Cambodian Space Project going into the future.
Thank you very much, Julien, and good luck with the project.
Thanks so much for having me.
I hope we can be useful, and we'll be in touch.
Absolutely, and I just want to say one more thing. I'm working here with music all the time. I'm working with the Green Mist here in Tasmania, but I'm also working with a young Aboriginal rapper called Prodigal One. And if you check out Prodigal One, you'll hear that a lot of his hip hop is all Cambodian music in the background. He's never been to Cambodia, but has a really, really wonderful voice, and it's something that's very, very new for all of us.
Oh, that sounds intriguing. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Now I want to go back to Kyaw Kyaw. Can you tell us something about how important is music for you personally, and also how you think music can contribute to a better society?
Yes, music is very, very important for my life because of, it's related to political situation in my life and music, because of I living under a military dictatorship for so long, so everything is closed. The education is you know, education is closed, everything like everything closed, our mouth, our eye, our mind, our ear. So we only learning from what the military government teach us at the school about, you know, brainwash. So the newspaper only we can see what they write. Also the television, we can see what they show. So we have no our own life, we don't see anything. So we are like a chicken in the trap. So this is my young life. So when I was teenager, I found punk music in the black market. You know, the black markets, they are not illegal, but the China products are importing from illegal in the black market. You can choose a lot of alternative music. So after I found the punk rock, is changed my whole life. You know, because of I angry when I was young because of I jealous a lot to other young people because under our military their parents friends with the military guys. So these kids are really weird our anger. We just want to fight to the people and we just want to violence at the school. Even small problem, we just fighting. I don't know, you know, the angers are always inside. But after I found parents, two of my anger release. So I can release my anger. When I angry something, I listen the punk rock is a very peaceful in this time. Even I listening. So because of punk rock give me a lot of energy and a lot of power, and also the message. Message is you know, I know more than what I learned before. I know a lot of things what I didn't learn at the school. So then I interesting. So I can say music changed my mind, my life a lot. Music is for me like a. After this, I also listening some reggae and other different kind of music. So music is made me another state of mind and also my anger release. So that's why doesn't matter how much I angry to someone or something. When I listen music, I feel peace. When I stress, I listen music, I feel peace. So then I will relate it to the other thing is, you know, the music is can change everybody's mind. Even people who are so much angry when they listen to the music at the moment, they feel peace. So then music is can change to those people and the lyrics, the good message, positive message are changed, getting their mind. And you know, another point of view, awareness for humanity and something, you know, that's why music can change the society and better world. This is what I believe.
Thank you very much. I think what you said is very important. Music, first of all, as a form of personal empowerment, but also as a form of education. I think it is education in the broadest sense, which is very significant. Pavel, do you have a guitar with you? Oh, that's wonderful.
I can play. Who wanna sing?
Yes. No, I will listen to your song.
Say, I remember when we used to see in the government yacht in French town, observing the hypocrites, mingle with the good people we meet. In this great future, you can't forget your past. So dry your tears, I say. No woman, no cry. No woman, no cry. No woman, alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright. Everything's gonna be alright, cause Sheena is punk rocker, Sheena is punk rocker, Sheena is punk rocker, yeah. I'm so lonely, so lonely. Hello everybody, I'm now in the garden close to my home. This is my wife. We are together.
Hello.
And this is our dog. Our dog. Oh, sorry. Okay, we take another dog, smaller. This is our dog. Yeah, Albert.
Whoa.
Albert.
Yes, this is bigger.
Where is that?
Oh,
So one is black, one is white,
this is our cat.
and a cat.
We have 9 cats.
Oh, so many.
Maybe somebody wants one. One
Okay.
of the cats we can send.
Please ship to Myanmar.
No, you cannot send it over Zoom. That is the problem. I think we just got a wonderful wonderful example how music can help in a tense situation and improve everybody's mood. By the way, before we go to the question, I understand Alona and Natalia saved the questions and collected them. Chris and Pavel, did you meet in Poland?
I'm not sure. Did we meet at the Struda? I'm not sure.
Because I should explain to the others, Chris also was one of the creators of a documentary about Polish rock in the 80s, Beats of Freedom. But I think Moskva was not in it. I think you had some more mainstream bands in that one. But do you remember the BBC documentary from I think 84, 85? Was it My Blood, Your Blood?
Yeah.
About the Jarocin Festival, and that was a big break for Pavel's band, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know, Chris, if you remember that documentary about Polish
No,
rock.
I don't know, but I've never heard of this documentary before. Was that shown on the BBC?
I think so. Yes.
No one told me about it.
I'm more than happy to send you a link. It's a wonderful,
please
it's a wonderful document about.
Yeah, because I've not heard of this documentary until now.
You see, better late than never.
Exactly, that's what I always think.
It was worth joining us today. Let's try and see what the questions were.
Is it comfortable so I read them, or I would better send them into chat back?
I think it's okay if you just read. I think.
Okay,
Alona,
good.
Yeah.
So we had a question from Nicholas to Chris. He was writing, it was a pleasure hearing you speak and he enjoyed reading your book, especially on Bob Marley. And actually the question was, if you think that reggae still has influence and message today.
Yeah, definitely, I do actually. I mean, there's all, the point about reggae really was that it was an alternative news system. And so things that couldn't be really discussed in the very establishment dominated world of Jamaica would come out in song, you know. So I mean, whether it's whatever it is, even if it's something as absurd as Lee Scratch Perry and Mr. Brown, you know, which the whale, the song the Whalers sang about a vulture riding on a coffin, a legendary incident in Kingston. But sort of, you know, the new kind of conscious reggae of people like Protégé or who else? There's loads, but I can't think actually because it's a Saturday morning. But I think, yeah, of course it does. And someone was saying much earlier that, you know, the whole point about, you know, oh, I know who's the chap from Bangladesh who was saying, you know, that in a sort of 2, 3, 4 minute song, ideas can be crystallized so thoroughly and comprehensively that's where the kind of, you know, the message is really, that's where the magic is. So I think that, yeah, those, yes, I mean, I'm taking a long time to say yes, I do think it has actually.
Thank you. So another question was for all from our tech support, Enrique. The question, I would expect that the musical world is very competitive, pop vs rock, punk vs classical, and so on. Does this competition persist in movements with music, or does it bridge it? Would you have any personal stories about that? So anybody, please. Kyaw Kyaw already had his answer. I can read it back, but maybe some more words about it.
So who would like to start?
Who is that directed at?
To all the panelists. So if you have any thoughts about it, please feel free. No competition.
Competitiveness and antagonism between musicians and styles of music. Yes, that was.
Yeah, I would like to answer a little bit of this.
Okay.
I don't get so much like between, you know, two kind of music linear, like kind rock, kind of classical, pop, or rock, you know. But I really like the last policy, the music. He also like the pop music, but the lyrics are about not reality, right? So they're thinking about money and famous and power of society or something like that. The underground music and the alternative culture are very close with humanity and real life. So I don't care about how different between music linear. We care about the message of the music. The message of the music is very important as because of in my country, we also have a lot of music, but more traditional and classic music are produced from the dictator. So most of sound are about propaganda, like a pro-nationalism, you know, pro-military and something like that. So the message are brainwashed, and they don't want we to think the reality. So also the success idea in the music, you know. So that's why I don't care about the music style or the linear. I care about the message of music. But that's why in pop music and the old traditional music style are the lyrics are more about you know and unreality. But I don't have music style, but they use this kind of traditional music and they put the brainwash stuff. But underground music and alternative music are more open mind, awareness to humanity, and speech about freedom and different point of view. That's why this is two different music style and the opinion and message of music.
Mm. You see, when I was in Myanmar, I was told that K-pop was the most popular style.
Yes,
Is that correct? And do they have any message?
No, I know a lot of teenagers in right now in Myanmar, the K-pop, they like the, appearance because of, our country, a lot of people like the white skin, they always use, take care the some chemical makeup or to make it white. If I am brown skin, even we are brown with brown, they look down to me. They look to they wanna be white skin in society. That's why on the television they always show facial form or facial makeup or something like that. Capitalist product. So they like K-pop. They are appearance and music because of K-pop musicians are their eye is very cute and very beautiful or something like that. That's why also a lot of guys they like K-pop. They like K-pop girls are so beautiful and something like that. That's why they like appearance and music. So this is a problem or now.
But you see, it is not the music that I like personally too much, but I know that the biggest Korean band, BTS, they actually had some good BTS. It is a very popular K-pop band internationally, and they have some good messages sometimes in terms of social, social messages. So I don't know whether it plays any role in Myanmar, or is it just the music?
In my environment, I see a lot of young people, but they don't care about music style. They care about appearance. So maybe some people are very good message in K-pop too. Can be happen, but I don't know about that. So I don't know. I just see. I just tell you what I see in my environment.
And well, Pavel, you played many different types of music. Microphone.
Yes, of course. I like many style because music for me is a one. This is very main understanding of music for me because music is energy. And energy is one, but we see also many colors energy, many emotion of musical, but depends how we feel. We need some kind of music. For example, if I wake up early morning, 6 o'clock morning, I like play meditation music, silence music, or something maybe Indian raga. In summer, I like very much reggae and punk music, but when I'm little bit nervous, I like punk music. When I feel love, harmony, I like reggae music, and I can play maybe everything what I like in that moment. But for me, it's very important intention. What kind of intention you have play music? If you have intention play for good feeling for people, for peace on the world, for flowers, for animal, and you have good message, and you have good good emotion without aggressive. You can play also punk, you can play reggae, you can play rock. I don't know death metal. I don't know because it's not very positive for me music, but maybe somebody is positive after this, maybe. I also, when I play with my band Moskva, this is music very expressive. This is punk music, and I screaming all the time. But I screaming about about freedom, about peace, about love, about harmony on the earth. This is good intention, and I feel after that like after catharsis. Sometimes people go to the nature and screaming just for screaming and feel very good after this. And I feel very good after my concert also, when I screaming 1 hour. And this is very good, but music for me is, of course, is one, like nature is one, people on the earth is one family, and music have very many colors, but music is one, of course. And the best is important intention with this music and with lyrics.
Yeah, I think Chris also alluded to this topic in the very beginning of our discussion when you said that punky reggae party was not an obvious thing in the very beginning. It took some time for Bob Marley to
understand
to accept it. Yes.
Yeah. No, I mean, but also it's kind of important to realize that certainly in the first half of the 70s, and I'm sure this continues to the present day, a lot of people in this country hated reggae. They didn't just dislike it or it wasn't their thing. They actually really hated it, and obviously there were, and I remember a friend of mine, I used to go and listen, this would be about 74, 75, and I would go and listen to music with him. He was a fireman. He lived next door to me. And I remember he was a big Eric Clapton fan. And I loved Bob Marley at that point. And I remember him playing that, that was that Ocean Boulevard album that Clapton had, where he's got I Shot the Sheriff on it. And he'd been sort of, just destroying the idea of Bob Marley to me. And then he plays the Clapton album and I Shot the Sheriff comes on. And he saying, "Oh, it's an example of the man's humor." I remember saying, "Example of the man's." I said, "Have you seen who wrote it?" And then he was a bit surprised, But it was it was quite clear a kind of a racial element in this detestation. Reggae, it would be described as though it's stupid people's music. People really, and then there was a kind of turnaround. But I'm sure there's still loads of people who absolutely detest it, actually. As they always did, for reasons which is not even worth going into. But people shouldn't forget that, people, I mean, the extent to which people loathe reggae.
Thank you very much. We have one more question, also for all of you. So it was a question from Regional Center for Strategic Studies. I don't know where it is from, sorry. So can your music overthrow dictatorship? Can your music change not those who like it, but those who oppose to this kind of music? Very strong question.
Yes.
Well, can I just say something about that? Like the idea of rock and roll itself, I always thought was, I was just saying that people hated reggae. Some people hated reggae. But of course, when rock and roll emerged, which was like 55, 56, many people of the establishment or older thinkers or straight people, as I would describe them, I mean, they hated it as well. But I always thought that rock and roll emerged really as a reaction to World War II. There's so many men who kind of had to fight in World War II. They came back really damaged, but you were not allowed to talk about that. After the Vietnam War, people talked about post-traumatic stress disorder, but that generation who fought in World War II would not talk about that at all. And I felt that rock and roll kind of emerged as a response to that. It was almost like a primal scream. So I think that it can, so I think it probably can change cultures. I mean, for example, in Jamaica, and Jamaica is so conservative in so many ways. It was like, you know, it's still almost parts of it like England in the 1950s, still post-colonial problem. But you know, reggae music, Bob Marley, not just Bob Marley, reggae music definitely, unquestionably changed the culture of the whole place. I don't think it changed the government, but it, you know, it's changed the culture, absolutely.
Kyaw, would you like to comment on this question?
Yes. The question is, okay, you know, I can feel like music and dictatorship, right? So dictatorship is like a darkness. Music is like a light. So my philosophy, like, we cannot, you know, we cannot change or we cannot describe to dictatorship with our music because of they are too much ego, too much selfish, too much, you know, too much, they are too much blind. So they have no heart. That's why they can't see the truth, they cannot feel the art. So this kind of people, we cannot change with the music, I think, mostly, you know, but what we can change is our environment, like what Chris said, you know, we can make a cultural revolution, counter revolution, something like that. We are not change the darkness. If we are turn on the light in the darkness, we open this light are already destroying the digital. So we are focused to our next generation, our new generation with the music, you know, nothing to do with the to change the digital. For digital, we need the politician, political, and you know. But music can fight the system and to collect the all people united against the power. So something like that. So music is politic alternative way to fight the dictatorship and to change the system by alternative way, but especially like the cultural revolution. So that's what I believe. Music like the tree are grow up at the building, you know. For small tree, nobody can tell after that the roof are destroying the break. So I believe music like that power.
Pavel, do you have some thoughts on this?
Yes, yes. I don't know. Maybe I change the word, maybe not. By the music, by the words, but of course I change myself. It's my way, I think, play and write the lyrics and sing for people these lyrics, and this make me my realization, and I think this is number one. If you this make me true like a person, because it's the way for me thinking and speaking the same, if I can sing this. I think if somebody is true, other people can feel these feelings and take something also true from this person. And I think if this is way for me, the music and these lyrics, I hope maybe this will be also journey for other people. And in my experience is happen like this, because when people listen something with good message, with true message, and with good intention, they take this, because this is our like a food for mind, for intellect, and they start going this way also, because they need this understanding, looking and observe the word, like singer, for example, who singing about his vision for the world, and they agree with him. And this is very important, because when they take this message from him, they agree with his vision. In this way we building a special alternative society who thinking in alternative way. And I think in this way maybe we not change every word, but we can build our alternative society, and we can be very strong with this alternative thinking. And for example, everything what we can do, of course we can do for us, for ourselves, but maybe we all want ourselves, like all people ourselves, but nobody knows about it. But if I make my individual effort, maybe because I believe with this, we have special connect with everything on the world, with people, with nature, with trees, with sky, with earth. And if I make individual effort, change my mind, clean my mind, have good vision for life, for other people, disconnect, who you can't see, of course, but you can feel, can make this special thing change the world. I don't know, is this clear? My English is not very good, but I think this is good way. Change yourself, and this special connect with everything make work.
I think it's very clear. Thank you, thank you. Well, I'm really glad we addressed some of the questions that that were posed, and we are going to share those answers. Paweł, would you like to play something before we say goodbye?
Of course, I have some song. I don't know, English or Polish?
As you like. Well, I guess English is easier to understand for the others, but it's up to you.
For once in my life, I have something to say. I wanna say it now, for now is today. I love person, so why not enjoy? So let's all get out and let's all enjoy. If the kids are united, then we never be divided. If the kids are united, then we never be divided. Once again, if the kids are united, then we never be divided. If the kids are united, then we never be divided. It's a song from band Shem 69.
Exactly.
Well, I think it's another example of music uniting generations too. Something we talked about quite a lot today.
It's good for this special conference. I think we are everybody like kids on this planet, and we must unite it through the music, through the rock, through the punk, through the music, through the everything, meditation, contemplation, love.
Keep it going.
Thank you very much, Pavel. And I just want to thank everybody who participated in this discussion, everybody who stayed with us. I want to thank Alona for supporting us today. Are you in Moscow now?
Yeah, maybe,
Yes.
Yeah. So
maybe one
we are
day,
a really
maybe one day we meet everybody on the big concert.
Great.
Yes.
That's a brilliant idea. Yes, that's a brilliant idea. But I think we have a really interesting group through today's event. You know, we've had speakers from Bangladesh, from Myanmar, from Cambodia and Australia, from Hong Kong, from Poland, from the UK. I think we can stay in contact and continue the conversation in different formats and continue the communication in different ways in future. And I think, you know, the Never Again Association would be more than happy to facilitate this kind of dialogue also on future occasions. And I personally thought it was very very interesting and very inspiring. So thank you, Natalia, for initiating this. We know you put a lot of effort. We enjoyed the event. It was really enjoyable. And once again, I want to thank everybody for participating. Let's stay in contact.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Bye bye.